It is recording has started, but however the live haven't, I'm in the process of starting the live. Give me a second. I can't see it.
Brandon over there jamming. I'm about to put my music on too, Brandon.
Always got music.
He always got music going on.
I'm on this Shalimar right now. Y'all know nothing about.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I do.
Look at y'all. Okay.
Which one you listening to? That's like a night to remember.
Tonight.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna make this a night to remember.
I can't.
We don't have a ball.
Oh my Jesus.
Are you gonna record this?
Yeah, I can. I didn't realize I could. I'm not. Am I? I don't know. I think she's recording it.
Who is that?
That's Tia. We
No.
the best alto in the world.
Oh,
Right.
No.
Facts.
I remember them days.
Crew.
Oh my goodness.
All right, we are officially live in a couple seconds.
Can y'all see my head down?
I can't with you. This is gonna be a wild call today.
I think this is what I need.
I don't know what happened.
After all the shit that we doing, we need to be able to talk to black people.
Right. It's so grateful. I'm like, oh, we're all real black.
All right.
That's it.
Okay, it should be live. Okay. It's live on Facebook. All right. Good afternoon. My name is Monique Robinson. I am the proud founder of A Better Chance for Youth Futures Incorporated. Today, we have some very distinguished guests that will be talking about Black Lives Matter. What must we do to change things in our community? I will have my panelists introduce themselves because they have some really, really important things to say. So we will start and they can go in any order that they choose.
All right, let me introduce myself. My name is Brandon Zachary, born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio, currently residing in Charlotte, North Carolina. I was germinated and cultivated at Wilberforce University and a retiree of the United States Army after 20 years and currently a graduate student at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte and a proud feminist.
All right.
All righty then.
Yes. All right, who's next?
Don't all speak at once.
I guess I'll go. I'm James Abrams, and before I start, I would like to give honor to God, who is the head of my life. I also want to thank you, Ms. Robinson, for this opportunity to be on this amazing platform. But I went to Spalding University where I earned my master's degree in business communication and organizational leadership. I currently have my own business. It's called O&O. It stands for One and Only. We are a sports and urban wear clothing brand. We teach financial literacy. We give back to the community, sports, and entertainment. And I am also Team Focus Central Kentucky chapter director. And that's it by me.
Awesome. Next.
All right, so Kwesi Washington, currently here in Chicago. I am a youth advocate. I'm a director for a school, after school partnership, really work hands-on with young people. I am a poet. I'm so many things that I don't have time to really introduce, but I'm here and all in for this conversation. Mo, I thank you for inviting me as well, and it's just really good to see some of my Woo fam to be here, and I haven't seen many of them in many, many years, so it's good to see their faces and to know that who they were back on the yard, they're still those same people working every day for just that liberation of our people. So I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. I'll start. Peace and blessings, everybody. We're trying to figure out who's going to go first. I am Dominique Williams. Thank you, Mo, for the opportunity to be here. I am excited about this conversation and just the conversation before they started recording was already amazing. I hail from Louisville, Kentucky, raised in Jeffersonville, Indiana. I also graduated from Wilberforce University with my BS in biology, and Ottawa University with my MBA. I'm currently an operations manager, but more than that, I am surprisingly for the people. You know, we giggle a lot that we don't realize that we start to become activists, we just become it. So very excited about the future of where we're going in our part. So again, thanks for the invite and blessings, everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah. Miguel Hampton, originally from Ohio, a little bit nomadic. Of course, a Woo grad. I'm actually a true Woo baby because my mom went there, my dad went there, my stepdad went there, my aunt went there, my grandmother, when she came to this country, got affiliated with the Woo, yada, yada, yada. I've got 2 degrees in business management, entrepreneur, activist, photographer. Got a podcast called Common Conversations where we get down with the get down, and we have all kind of conversations. Yo, I'm excited about being here because we talk this every day with white folk, and it's nice to be talking with family. Yo.
Yes, real life. All right, I'm Tia Williams Hampton. I am born in Louisville, raised in Jeffersonville, Indiana. I am a licensed clinical social worker, and I practice mental health as a mental health therapist in private practice here in Southern Indiana. I'm truly honored to be here today. This is what we do. Nikki and I had actually started this kind of work almost 30 years ago in high school, but we are so glad to see how things have progressed due to unfortunate circumstances. But we are glad to be a part of this movement. We are glad to be a part of this community. We are glad to be a part of this conversation. It's really just the beginning. So let's get this started. I know we got one other person trying to introduce themselves. So hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, it's so devilish.
First of all, again, like the young man said, James, I give honor to the Lord, my Savior. And I'm so honored to be here today. My name is Tommy Owens Jr. I am the owner and operator of Owens Entertainment and Management, where we do concerts across the country, and also Owens Entertainment and Advertising, where we advertise for the Cochran firm. And we also advertise for attorney Michael Wright, 2 of the most powerful Black attorneys in the country. I'm honored to be here today, and let's get to it. But I want y'all to see something first. We are the people. Let's get to it.
Thank you, everyone, for introducing yourself. As the question for the group, and this is opposed to everybody, and you can jump in as you feel, what do you think it would take for the community to get past the things that are happening across the country? Like, what as a community, and everybody has mentioned where they're from. Like, we have Ohio, we have Kentucky, we have Chicago, and Charlotte. So in all these various places, what must we do? Like, I know you're doing things, but how can you get everybody else on board?
That's the thing. I would say we have too many individual organizations, so it's kind of hard to try to choose an organization to actually support. So, you know, going back to 60s, you know, they basically had 2 main leaders, MLK and Malcolm X. Everyone else joined under them, and they was all on the same page. And I feel as in order to at least start the progression in our community, we have to have some sound leaders that people will actually follow. And from there, I would say we will have to educate our people, our youth, on voting. You know, me personally, I don't care what side that you are for, Republican or Democrat, just as long as you are, you know, you study and know what side, what party that you are for. So just being educated and then vote. And from there, I would say voting will help put the right people into position and into power to help create this change. And I will also say our community needs to be or needs to have these opportunities to get into these positions. So me personally, I would like to see more African American police officers in our own community, where it's someone that can relate to us without being afraid or this or that. So, but just being educated and finding that one leader to actually lead us into the right direction to create a plan and then execute that plan.
Okay. Anybody else have
I'll say something on that. And so Frederick Douglass said, it's easier to train up a child than it is to repair a broken man. And I believe that this pandemic has given us an opportunity that we're not really looking at. So with this kids being out of school and now they're at home with us, this gives us an opportunity to promote and teach true, authentic history. And so they can get away from the whitewash education that has been seeding within their heads. And now they can get true education at home. And so now we have a responsibility as parents who are at home to not only teach them so that they can pass the curriculum, but also instill in them true, authentic Black history. And so we can now begin to focus on youth, because I believe that we have to diversify our efforts. Some people have to go over here and work on adults who don't quite get it, but many of us have got to put a lot of energy and effort into our youth, because again, what we labor for, we may not see the results of. We may die before it comes our time, but we have a responsibility to our youth, and this gives us the opportunity to do that.
Very good.
Well said.
I want to take it from a whole nother perspective, in the sense of I did enjoy Brother Brandon when he was talking about how we need to educate. These are not our ways. And I think the trouble that as African people of the diaspora that we continue to go through is because we're trying to be who we are not. And so we continue to go into these walls trying to be these white people. Their ways are not our ways. We do not operate like they operate. Spiritually, in the physical, as far as our knowledge, we don't operate like this. And as long as we continue to try to be them in this country, we will continue to face some of these walls. The other thing is, I think we have to be careful that we do not become those who have oppressed us. So we see a lot of Black folk in this country now coming to power. So we think, got a little money, so you think, I won't even get in touch with Oprah and Bill Cosby and all these people. Y'all know what they have done to them because of their power and the money that they have. Not saying anybody's right, anybody's wrong. I'm just saying what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. But I think what we have to be, I think you're right, Brandon. I think this is a time for us to regroup and teach our ways, our history, our customs, our traditions, and really build our young people specifically up in that it's okay to be Black and how beautiful it is to be Black. And you don't have to sell yourself short by trying to be somebody else. I think that's where we start. It's an educational thing that needs to happen, which fortunately over the years we did have at one point in time. We just need to go back to some of those basics.
Do you think, Lamont, do you think that parents are actually taking advantage of this? I mean, I know growing up, my mom and dad, we had Black history every day. That was like not a question about it. I
think some parents are taking advantage? I do. Is it on a larger scale? Absolutely not, because they don't know history themselves. And a lot of the parents, I mean, even with the school that I'm with now, a lot of my kids, I think my oldest grade right now, we're still adding grades, but it's sixth grade. A lot of their parents are in their early 20s and they weren't taught. And I keep going back to generations before, and it may be some of our generation, because what's blowing my mind for real, is that we're the elders now. We keep acting like we're not, but we're the elders now. And a lot of things that's going on with our young people and how befuddled they are is because we haven't taught them. So we are the product directly after the civil rights movement. Everybody on here know that you was either dragged to church, you learned stuff about what was going on in the community, you knew about entrepreneurship, you had to march, you had to do all of that. But that hasn't happened for generations after us. So I think, are there parents helping and teaching? Absolutely, but there's some that just don't know. And now we have opportunity to go back and teach. I think that's probably why we're in the professions that we're in.
That's true.
Because somebody did it for us, and we want to give that same knowledge to somebody else. But it's a lot more of us out there that we really need to go and grab these folk up, grab our people up, grab our children up, our young people up, and really, really pour into them.
Yes, I just wanted to jump into this because I pretty much agree with what everyone has said. So I want to go back to her direct question, is that what do we have to do to get past this? And when I heard that, I was like, which part? I was thinking, which part are you talking about? Because there's a part that we're dealing with what's going on within our community. And you're exactly right. How we educate our children, how we teach them how that if they choose to engage in this political process, which they definitely should, how to be involved civically past voting, how that impacts them, what that means, because a lot of times they don't even understand. We as adults sometimes don't even understand what that means, so, and when we're looking at, some of the issues that occur in our community, it kind of shifts to what the other part of that, which is how do we work on things systemically? So I don't know that we ever really get past anything. We really have to work through these things. So it's like, how are we going to work through these very complex issues that we are dealing with simultaneously? And one of my focuses in therapy is trauma, right? So it's so what I'm looking at, like in the community, oftentimes when we have these high levels of violence in our community, and then we have these other systemic things that are going on that have impacted our community. So even if by some miracle we manage to work through these systemic issues, how are we as a people going to begin to heal? Because even if somebody beats you in your head over and over and over again, and that person pays restitution, they show remorse. If I still have not figured out how to get some help for myself and to connect with the people who care about me so that I can heal, I'm never going to really be able to fully recover. So we are really dealing with two very just these issues are going on simultaneously. So it's like, what are we going to do to get through these? Because I don't think it's about getting past it. A lot of us try to work getting past it. That does not help, because these issues continue to occur. So I agree that a lot of the solutions that you all have come up with about educating our children, educating ourselves, taking advantage of that, in the NAACP, we talk about we need at least four different types of folks. We need an agitator, an educator, an organizer, and a mobilizer. Who are those people? How do we help people identify their strengths in this movement? How do we help people capitalize on these strengths in this movement? So, I think that we've got a lot of work to do, but we've got a lot of gifts and talents in order to do so. That's my 2 cents on it.
We talked about a list, and I'm gonna just throw some points. So when we talk about political, right, we always want to talk about the power that the vote has, but we're rarely are we talking about the power of us being in the position to write the policies, right? We're continuing to ask white folk to fix shit for us. And we have to be at the table writing the policies. And if we're not the elected official, then we need to be behind that elected official, writing the policy, enforcing them to get the vote to make it happen. Right? So voting is powerful at every level.
Yes.
And we need to speak to that at every level. We also have to identify that, this is not about party. This is about us. Right? And neither party in the history of this country has consistently done it right by us, right? And even when we've gotten into office, when we could have made changes, we decided to side with master and write policy that devastates us, right? So that's an honest conversation and a true conversation we have to have consistently. The other piece we need to ask ourselves, what does a non-racist society look like? And then we need to create a plan to what that looks like. We can't let white people write that for us because they don't know. And that's what we keep asking for. So we need to look at what a policing policy looks like for us. What does an economic strategy and policy look like for us? An education strategy and policy, right? So we need to package that. We don't let a business plan in this country get funded, right? Or a business get funded without a business plan. We need to create a Black business plan, a Black community plan, a Black strategy of how we're going to exist as a unit, as a country. So I'm not talking about the United States. I'm talking about Black people being a country because we have the resources to be one, and we have to act like that, right? The other piece is that we have to have a global platform. Not just, so we in Jeffersonville, somebody else in Dayton, somebody else in Carolina, right? So we got to have our local platforms, then we got to have a national platform, and then we need to think broader than that and have a global platform because Black people are all over the world and we're all being affected by what happens when we're talking about racism, education, economics, period. So we got to advise a strong platform for us, by us, and go get it.
Okay. Like that.
That was good.
I'm going to jump in right quick since I'm the elder of the crew.
Thank you.
Don't be laughing at me, y'all.
Go on, senior.
All right, so first of all, again, I'm excited about being on here with you folks. You very educated. You're street savvy. You're book savvy, and this is what it's going to take for us to overcome this. You know, like she said, we can't go around it. We got to go through it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We have to go through it, y'all. We can't run around it no more, try to jump over it or go side. We got to go through it. And I think the whole thing is going to help us if we have to get organized.
Yes.
Right.
We're not organized.
Right.
The young man said it earlier. He said we don't know who's a leader. There's so many different, organizations, and there's so many chiefs, and it's just so many things is going on. And I'm not saying people aren't doing good things, but it's going to have to come a time where everybody says, hey, I'm throwing my hands up. What do I have to do? I got to get dirty, and let's get dirty together. I don't care if it's Black Lives Matter, NAACP, SELC, whoever. Because I think the problem we're having as a community, we're having a lot of problem with titles.
Mm.
And people don't get that. We're having a lot of problems with titles. We have to organize. I'm gonna tell y'all what this gentleman told me, this white gentleman. He said, Tommy, man, I'm really proud of you doing great things. You got a whole lot of people to come out and march and this and that and the other. But then he said something to me. He said, hey, but how many of those people are registered to vote?
Mm.
He said, you had 5,000 people there, but how many people were registered to vote? And at first I kind of got a little peeved at him. He said, but if you look at other communities that are doing well, he said, man, he said, you can have 5,000 people, but if only 100 people register to vote, ain't nobody listening to you.
Right.
And again, I started thinking, I'm like, man, he's trying to be funny. But then I said, no, you got to listen, open your mind and listen to what he's saying. So if I'm looking at communities that are doing well, they're registered. Not only are they registered, they're making people accountable for what they voted them for.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
See, our problem is we vote for folks, no matter if it's Republican or Democrat, and then we don't make people accountable.
I agree.
Right.
We only make them accountable when they come to our churches and popcorn with us and jump up and down with us. And then we're going to say, well, you got to do good and we'll vote for you. But after we vote for them, we don't make them accountable.
Or you don't see them no more at your church.
Yeah, that's a problem. We're not disciplined as people. We're not. Organization calls for discipline.
Mm-hmm.
We're not disciplined, guys. I mean, there was a couple of initiatives were put out for, I think it was July the 7th, for people to stop buying things, the blackout.
How long did that last, you think?
Man, I don't even think it, you know what, and it's so unfortunate that because of our economics and what we do, is how much money we spend, we can shut this whole country down, this whole world down. Like, what's my guy in the middle name? My guy,
Miguel?
Indiana.
Miguel?
Yeah, that's my guy, because he's right. He's right. We're everywhere. But if we're not organized, we, what's my lady's name next to you again, Miguel? To the right. Yeah.
Tia?
Tia?
Tia. She's absolutely right also. Guys, we have to make sure, look at my Chicago guy, he like, I'm on it, Mr. What's next? But organization and being disciplined, and we have to learn how to sacrifice. We don't want to sacrifice.
That's
you know, I'd rather go get these gym shoes than boycott this place. You know, I'd rather go buy this car than boycott it. We're not disciplined, and we don't want to sacrifice. We talk big, but when it comes to sacrificing, wow. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chicago.
Please let me say something. Please.
Go ahead, Chicago.
In my mind, I'm gonna say something that is gonna be controversial. So I just want to put that tagline out there right now.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I have come to accept this. So be it. The slave came from Africa, multiple countries, multiple tribes, multiple towns, cities, whatever, to this America. Also went to South America. More went to South America. That's a whole nother lecture.
Absolutely.
So now we're in this country. What I've learned, we're not all the same. We don't have the same beliefs. We don't have the same experiences, even in this country. We think we do because we all have the same hues or similar hues. So in my mind, we're still focusing on how to get millions of people on the same page, when realistically, what we should be doing is going after the ones who's already there on the same page, uniting those people and creating something with those people. And I'm not saying it in the sense like we don't love our fellow African Americans in this country, but realistically, if we're waiting for everyone to get on the same page, we're not moving. So at some point, we have to take the people who are on the same playing field, who are at least interested, who has some knowledge base, and like Tia was saying, what's the different roles that they could take, come together and create something and get this ball moving. We cannot no longer wait for every person of African descent to get on one accord. Why? Because we're not all the same. And even in this country, we're not all from the same places. We are not the same people. Now, do that mean that I don't fight on your behalf? That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is at some point, we got to move and we got to work and we have to move forward. And we're not, because we're waiting for everybody to get it. And I have never seen any movement where everybody get it. Even with the civil rights movement, everybody wasn't in for the civil rights movement. There was churches that went against Dr. King, wouldn't send $1 for that movement. But he kept going, and there was a group that kept going. Same with Malcolm X. Everybody didn't agree with what he taught. At some point, we have to get our people together. And I mean, to be honest, you just have to make a decision. Am I just going to go on to the promised land and pray that my people, there's a book out called Who Moved My Cheese, right? Have y'all ever read that?
I read that.
Am I going to continue sitting here in Station C waiting for this cheese, or am I going to go out into this maze and find some? It's just that simple to me. At this point, we can't keep doing stuff the way we've been doing it for hundreds of years. We have to do something different. And if everybody's not on board, God bless them. I mean that. God bless you.
Let me ask you.
But I'm going.
Yeah, let's go. So I got a question, right? So we you know, we know what a chamber of commerce is, right? And so when we talk about General Chamber of Commerce, most of them are white in the United States. But it's the global leaders of their industries, right? That come together, they meet once a week, they create boards, foundations, and the whole impetus is about them building economics, right? They're not, and to what you're saying, they're not waiting for the whole city or the whole state to agree, right? But they're constantly and ongoing creating plans. And here's the interesting part. So then you got something called, I believe it's called the League of Mayors. All the mayors across the United States, Mayor Fisher in Louisville happens to be the CEO and president of the League of Mayors. They come together and strategically develop plans of how they're going to build their cities, right, economically. And then they go home and disperse that. The black folks, we need to do the same thing, right? So we got tons of Greek fraternities. We got NAACPs. We got, you know, black caucuses. We got all these different things. We have to find someone or someones who's willing to take the charge and say, you know what, I'm gonna call one leader from each group, and we're gonna meet quarterly or semi-annually. And we're going to advise a strategy and a plan on how we are going to move forward in this country. Now, I think that's a great start, but that's the start we have to have. Because you're right, we have the resources.
Yeah.
Even on a blackout scenario. So I want to also say this before I go into the blackout. We already brainwashed. We've been brainwashed for over 400 years in this country, in most countries. So getting someone to do something different today because somebody got shot yesterday, that's a hard push. Now that's a catalyst for new influences, right? So we can spark some motivation. My man Tommy, you in advertising, right? We as a people need to start advertising and retraining us through media.
Programming, yes, sir.
Yes, we got to tell our own story, our new story. So when we black out non-supportive white businesses, right? We don't just say stop spending. We start training how to re-spend in new places.
Right. Absolutely.
Right? Because there are a lot of black-owned companies, small, large, otherwise. And but you know what? Black people as a whole, we don't know who they are because we don't speak about them. You know, so who in your community is hiring black?
And I think that's even to Miguel's point, that's what I'm saying. We're at a point now where our people are saying power to the people, but you're looting black businesses and you're looting and tearing down the pharmacy that your grandmother's getting her medication from. And you're going and getting meat from the grocery store. The grocery store, I had it right here in Chicago, and it's shut down for weeks, even months. Some of the stores never even come back. But you're saying you're doing something good, but really you're setting your whole community back. Yeah. One of the things I'm so proud of as it relates to Mother Wilberforce is that when we were sent down on foreign exchange, we went to Israel. Kid y'all not, we went to Dimona. Have y'all heard about the people in Dimona? Well, Dimona, there were black Hebrews that came out of Chicago in the 60s.
Wow.
They went to Israel and said, we have a right here. We are Hebrew. The government said, we're going to put y'all out here in the desert. And if y'all can survive, y'all can have it. The black folk went out there and found water in the desert and created an entire city in the desert. This is how you know God's hand is on us and that we're special. They went out in the desert, created their own agriculture, their own businesses, so forth. It's existing to this day. They have low crime. Their children are educated. It's a beautiful, peaceful place in Israel. All black folk look like you and me, right? Wow. It's because somebody knew, wasn't asking, was demanding their place in this earth and worked the plan. God saw it through. It happened for them. And that's what all I'm saying is, how long do we keep saying, God, help us, help us, help us? And he's equipped us with the tools and the knowledge to get it done. Let's move forward. And those who decide it ain't for me, I don't know how to do it, I don't want to do it, why should I do it? Look, Yo, it's a few. We could be like a Harriet Tubman, get the rifle, you coming with me. But the rest of them, they might have to stay behind. I hate that, but they might have to stay behind because they're just not ready. But we'll prepare a place for them, and when they're ready, they can come.
Wow.
For sure. I like that.
That's real talk. So would you say that many African Americans are just complacent because they feel they have arrived? Is that that's what I'm hearing you say, Lamont, or no?
No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I believe we're buying into the hype.
Got
I
it.
believe that we're trying to be them.
Got it.
And white man will cut off his nose to spite his face. That's not who we are. And I think we're people right now without hope. We've been through so much. And like Tia was saying, it's so much trauma. I'm talking about flowing through your DNA, right? But at the same time, we're resilient.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even in that dysfunction and that trauma, there's resiliency flowing through our blood that we can make something happen. So no, I think our people, our young people, really this Black Lives Matter movement is the first time for some of our young people to have experienced some of this, right? Mm-hmm. They've heard a little bit about Dr. King. They heard a little bit about Malcolm X. They don't know the totality and all the stories. So this is their first encounter with this racial injustice on a massive scale. And then also they're at the same day saying we're fighting against this system, but this system has also created this brother back here that looks just like me that'll take me out too. So it's this war that's going on. And I'm just saying, no, we have to move forward. We have to teach them how to move forward. We got to grab who we can, and we just need to go.
You saying, let's drive the car and change the tire at the same time, and we got to get there.
Brother, we can do it. You hear me?
All right.
Black folk will make a tire. We'll stop and cut a tree down.
Oh, yeah,
make it round and keep going. What?
Yeah, ready or not, we rolling down the hill. We're going to change this tire.
Yo.
Everybody just got to come with us.
Yo, yes.
Hey, if you don't grab on, and I agree with you, man. See, the problem is that everybody doing a lot of talking. A lot of talking going on. And again, that's back to my sacrifice. A lot of us, I want to answer Mo's question. I think a lot of people are, Mo. I think a lot of people think they've made it. You know? And I see that and I hear it. Now, it might be a little different where you're from or where you're at, but a lot of folks they're not, what word I want to use? A lot of folks really believe they've made it, and a lot of this stuff don't even apply to them. And I see it and I hear it all the time. It's because you got a couple of more coins than somebody else does. You know, that doesn't mean you made it. Look,
exactly.
Like you said earlier, look at Bill Cosby. You know, look at these folks that thought they made it. Well, really, they had made it. And they just show you how the system can tell you, hey, we got you, don't worry. Yeah, take this Jello pudding pop and go on and sit in that corner over there.
That's true.
You know, and it's real serious. Black folks, I'm gonna let you young guys talk. Go ahead.
No, finish your statement because I'm intrigued.
Because I'm looking at, is it justice? See, this is my thing. Is it justice or just us? Is it justice or just us? You know, we can look at all these. We have a case we're dealing with now here in Dayton, Ohio, and it's a national case. And we're dealing with the John Crawford issue. I don't know. Are you guys familiar with John Crawford? Okay, cool. Oh, you're not familiar. Okay, well, John Crawford was a young man that was in Walmart. And he was in Walmart and he was actually talking on the phone. He was carrying he had picked up a toy gun.
Oh, I know the case.
And an actual guy called and said, hey, this guy's loading this gun and they are, he's pointing at people and things of that nature. And the police came in and with 1.2 seconds, they shot and killed him. They said, put the gun down. So we have to, like I said, justice or just us. We got to teach our young people. When I go in a courtroom and I sit in a courtroom with different folks, who do you guys see when y'all go in a courtroom? What do you guys see? Who do you see?
Don't see very many of us represented where I'm at. I don't know about anybody else.
What you see, Brandon?
I see in the courtroom. I'm gonna go with Mo. I don't have much experience in the courtroom. I haven't been there, so mine is based off of what I see on TV. But we don't have a lot of prosecutors. Every time I see a prosecutor, they're always white.
Absolutely. What about your judge?
Same thing.
What about the paralegal? What about the the security, the cops? And we're supposed to be in a place of we're supposed to be people that are judged by our peers and things of that nature. But look what they're doing, what they've done to us. Only the way to be in this game is to play the game. We got to get in this. We got to get in this judicial system and make changes. Somebody said something about. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We keep trying to play by their rules.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm saying is this system is jacked up, and it was not written and designed to allow us as a people to advance. Mm-hmm. So what we have to do is dismantle that system to make it work for us. It will never work for us because it wasn't designed to work for us. And that's what I'm saying. So yes, it's great to have a black judge. Yes, a lawyer. That's wonderful. But if it's the same system, we're still going to get the same results. And we know that's what.
So how do we change the system?
That goes back to what Miguel was saying.
From and I'm not the expert in the room, but I know two ways to change a system. The first way is to be at the table, be the elected official, changing the policy while you got leaders out there changing the culture that's dedicated to you. That's the first way. The second way, if that don't work, you burn the shit down. You reset it. You wipe it out completely and then rewrite it so that it is written and culturally developed the way you want it. That's the only two ways I know how to do it. If my computer don't work, I'm either gonna fix it or throw it away. The judicial system doesn't work. There's no fixing it because it is exactly the way it has been defined, like my man is saying. Right? They kill us, they've been throwing us in jail, right? It's the same shackles that they used since slavery. And I know everybody's tired of hearing that. But let's be honest about this shit. Right? I got a ticket parked in front of my house. And the cop told me if I keep arguing with him, he was gonna tow my stuff. I ain't that dude. Right? I'm gonna tow your car too. We both gonna go down on this one. we gotta understand that. Like, I understand authority, but like for me personally, I'm tired of giving white people my power that have authority over me. I ain't no slave. I ain't never been a slave. I ain't gonna go the other way. So, answer your question. We either gonna get in there, infiltrate the system, and God's honest truth change it to what we want it to be so it works for us. Because we know if it works for us, it's gonna work for everybody. Right. Right? And I'm not talking about, so the other way is, we got to destroy it. My daughter on my we did a podcast a couple weeks ago. We talked about being black in America, and we were talking about the systemic challenges that we have, education, policies, yada, yada, yada. And we were talking about how the system was broken. And my 16-year-old daughter said, not on the podcast, but watching it, says, the system isn't broken. This is exactly how it's designed to be. If my 16-year-old knows that, we ought to know that. And we got to stop asking master for permission to change shit to help us. We got to kill that noise. And I know that's a different narrative. That's a hard narrative to swallow. But man.
So my thing is, how can we promote these jobs in this position to our youth to actually run for councilman, to be, well, you know, like our community. And I can say this speaking for all of us, you know, it's always fuck the police, right?
Mhm.
How can we promote, like, to get our own people to become a police officer in all these positions and everything? Because, like you said, we're so brainwashed and we think all cops are bad and everything like that. So how can we promote this?
Yeah. So one of the things I look at, right? I think we have to educate ourselves on the entire system. So let's just talk about policing, right? So we have to educate ourselves on how a police department actually functions by policy, what the infrastructure looks like, and how it's funded. That's highly important, right? It's not about just being our people just being cops, but we also have to be the police chiefs. We have to be the president of the police unions. We have to be affiliated in the FOP. The other piece is understanding, like, our police departments actually have contracts with our cities and states, right? So we have to understand what's in those collective bargaining agreements that allows them to operate and function. The other piece is that our police departments sometimes are also managed, depending on the nature of the city and state you're in, by police merit boards, which are community folk who are responsible for helping hire the police in your community. So I think we have to have a well-rounded education in that space, right? We as a people also have to be responsible or at the table for helping train the police, right? So how do we do that? Learning our systems, teaching our children about the system as a whole. We don't need to just be one part of it. We have to be in every part of it. I think the other important part of that too, because we're not monolithic, we have to start teaching what it looks like for us to be a full community.
Right.
Right. Otherwise, we get a black kid or a black young folk or a black cop, and he assimilates into a white system. He's the right hand of the master. We haven't changed anything. Right. And if he doesn't understand how the system works, he's just taking orders. And now we're holding him responsible for taking orders from about a dozen other people, right, that we don't even know exist. So we gotta one, educate how all the systems function, what their infrastructures are, how they're funded. We pay for them, right? And then the other piece is we got to train our people and put them in place. It's all communication and education.
So really, what I'm hearing you say, it's almost like we have to develop our own community infrastructure. You know, so where I am in Jeffersonville, so I had to let me back up a little bit. So you know, growing up in Jeff, it's a predominantly white city, but we had at the time, which was kind of neat, we had our first black police chief. You know, we had very strong civic leaders, and what we found out is that in the passing of that black police chief, it was a fire chief. It was a fire chief. What we found out after this fire chief passed is that there was a group of black men. There were a group of black men, probably about 6 or 7 of them, that actually began to train. They began to train some of the youth in the community about how these things work, you know, how it is that you navigate these systems, how you pull people through those systems, how you begin to, you know, change some of the issues that we're dealing with. And I do believe that, you know, we're missing that. So I like how you said, Tommy, you know, we can talk about these things, but how are we going to do that? You know, how do we come together and, you know, begin to build our leadership? You know, the leadership who's teaching, and then, you know, the leadership who's growing. How are we going to do that so that we're talking about, so just say we don't blow up the system, say we don't dismantle the systems. I'm telling you right now, they are defending white supremacist systems like nobody's business. Do you think
Yes.
that they are going to actually let that happen. I mean, for real. Like, I'm in Southern Indiana. They are not letting that happen here at all. And so for us, it's important for us to begin to teach our children and our youth how to be more civic minded, what that means besides voting, going to council meetings. How do you hold someone else accountable? How many numbers do you need to call your state legislators? How do you get 500 people to write a letter? How do you get 500 people to make a phone call? Because that's what it's about. It's about numbers. Nobody care about your feelings. Nobody care about your experiences.
Absolutely.
What you care about is the numbers that you bring when you are trying to make change. That's what we're dealing with right here within that particular system. Now, how we get together and do that within our own communities, is the challenge that we're looking at. How do we get everybody? And I know, Lamont, you're exactly right. Some people are not going to come along, and I totally agree with you on that. It's going to be like Harriet Tubman. When Harriet Tubman came, she had 6-7 people coming. By the end of that movie, she had like 5,000 people coming down the hill. It was like, oh, what you do works.
Right.
But you know what? But it's going to take, the few who have the courage, who are willing to mess up, who are willing to have people say, you know what, you ain't gonna do nothing, you ain't gonna change nothing.
Right.
For us to really, get this thing together here. It's the how. We are very articulate people. We are very smart people. We are very involved people. We just need to come up with how we are going to do this and make it happen and without.
And to your point, I don't know if we need another Dr. King, another Malcolm X to do that. I think as a community, what they have left us, the blueprints that they have left us, and even the things that we can build upon, we have enough within our community to all come to the table, those willing, in their expertise and create something. But I think our community is still waiting for this savior to show up and lead us. So I just hope that at some point we get to a place where we don't become, again, those who have oppressed us. I don't want us to become, what's going on right now is all about who's superior and who's inferior. And white people are at war because they're like, look, this is our country. Y'all doing too much, right? We got to take our country back. We already gave y'all Obama. We got to take our country back. They pissed off.
Yes, they are.
They are pissed. Like, I can't believe they got these Latino people on the rise. They got black folk, Africans in the country. They're like, oh, this is too much. It's supposed to be a white country. Well, we're running it. We are the superior people. And we're saying now, the hell you say, this is what's the brother? I'm gonna tell you. Listen. It's a brother that came out with a song. I don't know if it was this year or last year. His name is Gary Clark Jr. Have y'all heard his song about this land?
Yeah.
Y'all gotta listen to this song. This young brother, I mean, he copped it with this song. Some of the lyrics, in the end, it says, "Nigga run, go back from where you come from." Right? Nigga run, go back where you come from. We don't want your kind. We think you're a dog's born. F you. This is him speaking. I'm America's son. This is where I come from. And I think that's what's happening right now. Black folk are saying now, it was one thing when y'all brought us over, but we've been here. This is our country, and we fighting back. And then the white folk are saying, no, this is a white country, and we have all these systems in place that we created to keep y'all in y'all place. And now y'all breaking through this and tearing stuff down, and we ain't going for it. So black folk have to understand that war, have to understand the mentality of having a Barack Obama, what happened because he was president, that now we have Trump. And the crap that Trump is doing in this office on a daily basis, no white person in history will put up with that mess,
right?
Except they believe what's coming out and spewing out of his mouth. There's no justification to them agreeing with him. They believe the hatred that's coming out of his mouth because they're trying to take back what they think is their country. This is our country. I'm a close
So what
up.
I want to challenge y'all, man, because I love everything you guys are saying. But I want to challenge y'all. I hate meeting. I hate talking with folks. I hate doing that. I want to challenge each and every one of y'all in here because I believe in y'all. I'm listening to y'all. I'm excited about you guys. We can start something just with this group right here.
It's true.
We can make something happen. We don't need everybody, like you said. But I don't want to keep talking about it. Do something about it. Let's see what we can do. We don't need, like you said, 10,000 people to do it. Let's start with the 6 people that's on here right now. Everybody pull a job, and let's see how we can work. Because if we can't do it, how the hell we expect everybody else to do it?
I agree.
I agree.
Right.
So this is where we need to, Mo, this is where we need to, because we can talk all day and we can have different viewpoints and not believe in stuff. But now people are looking at us and saying, so what y'all gonna do?
But
So Mo, I challenge you with these folks that we have on here, very educated, very bright, that'll pull, that knock somebody out in a minute if they have to. You know what I'm saying? That will go to jail. Yes, ma'am, you went to jail. Thank you. But that'll sacrifice. See, this is the problem, y'all. I'm gonna keep coming back to that word till y'all agree with me. We won't sacrifice. So I want you, Mo, to take up each and every one of us, give us a job. I definitely want to work with these people in Louisville because they're close to me. And I want to work with everybody. But let's not leave here without having a defined thing that we're going to do so everybody else.
Because we have a big enough platform. I'm for it. I'm totally for it.
You know, I mean, I don't hear y'all saying nothing.
I'm for it. I'm on board. I mean
I'm all about action.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason. Let's go.
Right. Like, okay, so like, Carol, you talking about, sacrifice, and I think that our issue probably here in Jeffersonville, has a lot to do with getting folks being willing to make that sacrifice. Miguel's a transplant. And so when I first met him at Wilberforce, Wilberforce is an all-black school. But when I first met Miguel defined himself as, I'm Miguel, I want to make money. He was a different type of dude, any damn way. He was a different type of dude, just period. But between Utah, New Jersey, Ohio, and being here to Jeffersonville, Indiana was the first time being in this place that Miguel got into this spot. He was like, you know what? I'm a man. I'm a go-getter. I'm Miguel. Let me see what I can do for you. And they's like, nigga, get your ass back where you supposed to be at. But despite that, he built his own business. Despite that, he was sitting on boards. Despite the fact that he was speaking out on these boards about what are you doing for the Black businesses in this community? Right. They completely try to destroy this man. So for the most part, people have watched, and even Black people have been a part of that here. They've been a part of that here. So we've been in this fight for a really, really long time. And I think for us, when we appreciate this, because we don't get this. We don't get this here. So, we still have hope for the community. How do we build resilience in the community because we're just resilient people. So how do we build resilience within the community? So when you take a stand and they decide to cut you off, or cut your business off, or do whatever it is, how do we make sure that we're still supportive of each other? And that's not a question for you all.
That's real.
Building that community resilience that we need to have happen here, and that's a long game, especially just in this area in particular. It's deep over here.
But now, if they mess with Miguel, now he got somebody from Ohio, he got somebody from Charlotte, he got somebody from Chicago. You know what I'm saying? You got somebody from San Antonio. Now we shoot far, but we can't ask anybody else to get together. We don't do it. Miguel, you got a problem? We here. Sending letters. We coming up there. We turning over shit. But that's how we got to do it. But this group right here has to start it.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's what I said. Create that plan, execute it. You know?
Yes, sir.
I agree.
And two, I'm not sure if y'all seen it a couple of days ago, going to the NBA. You know, they postponed their games to boycott for, I guess, 2 days or so. So, but the players actually had a meeting. And so, you know, Chris Paul is the president of the Players Association. And so, from what I seen on TV and listened from Stephen A. Smith and everything, they said that they actually had a players meeting, and I guess they discussed some things, whatever. And then LeBron got up at the end of the conversation and talked for like 15 minutes. And they said that the players was kind of frustrated at what he was saying, but going and listening to his interview, from what I got from it, he was saying that there needed to be a plan and then execute that plan. Milwaukee, I'm not gonna say they didn't have a plan, but they didn't have everybody on board at first. They just did it, and that's probably why LeBron said what he said. You know, create that plan, then we all can execute it together. You know, so.
Well, they're gonna have some money. They're gonna have some money for us soon. The NBA. So get this group together. Let's do what we gotta do.
I'm game.
Solicit some of that money that they are about to have, the players union and the NBA. We have people from all over the place, and let's create this.
Yeah.
Hey, I got something, man, that I really want to throw out here to my fellow panel members.
What up, big?
So we talk about sacrifice, talk about Tia's shirt, Good Trouble from John Lewis. But really, I want to know from your perspective, all of you all, where does violence come in this? No plan survives first contact. I did 20 years in the military, 2 Bronze Stars, 4 deployments, and a bunch of hell over there. So I know the upside and the downside of violence. And this is where I get into a lot of trouble, because I advocate for violence when political negotiation fails. But I get a lot of pushback from my people, because my people do not see violence as a forward path and on this road to liberation. So I ask you all, where do you think and where do you see violence falling into this?
Yo, man, hats off to you. I love that you serve. And bruh, in the middle of a war, there's a lot of fronts, and sometimes it's a necessary evil. Because no matter what, if we're talking about building something, we're gonna have to protect it. Whatever that means is. And we have to train and prepare for it. Not to bring up Hitler, but one of the best things he did during the start of that war, he didn't have to shoot at all to take over some of them countries. Because he went in with straight strength and numbers and scared the shit out of them.
Yep.
Right?
That's facts.
We have to study strategically.
Right.
And understand when to attack, how to attack. Can we stand in the middle of the street and fight with white people? Hell no, they've been killing each other and everybody else since the concept of the world. Right? They are masters at murder. Right? However, they can be defeated. And we can win. But yeah, we're going to need soldiers. We're going to need generals who know how to advise us when to attack and how to. So, and when we got to defend ourselves, because we're going to have to. We see that every day right now. Right? We shouldn't, I'm going to say we shouldn't. And I don't think we know how to yet. But we should not allow another black woman in the country to be snatched up by a cop. We shouldn't allow another black man to be shot unarmed in the back by a cop. We should not allow another protester who's saying we want justice to be murdered in the streets or arrested invoking their First Amendment right. Right? We should not allow another black man who is participating in his Second Amendment rights to be shot. We got to defend ourselves right now. We got to train for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have to train for it. And the question was, where's our stance on violence? And for me, it's, are we ready? Because like Miguel said, it's a tool to be used if necessary. It always has been. My question is when we say tear it down, burn it down, are you realizing that your life changes forever?
That's true.
My only question is, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Because all this can be rebuilt. It ain't mine. Shut it down. And again, I understand that's a huge statement. And when people talk about it, I'm like, do you really understand that, what is it, the spoils go to the winner of the war?
Yep.
We need to treat this like an organization. Strategy is everything. If I'm not good at strategy, if I'm good at organizing, if I'm good at marching, we need to know who's in place. We do a lot of talk about of even us organizing, and that is something that we need to do. But one thing that I've heard in Louisville, Kentucky with the young folks, which they give me life. That's the one thing that gives me life is the young people. But the one thing that I heard constantly is, we don't have a leader. We are not getting a leader because we know what they do to our leaders. So how do we have that conversation with the consensus is we are all leaders? Because if we pick up a leader, they're either going to kill them or pay them off. How do we, and that goes back to Lamont, we can't take everybody, but we also have to understand that we all have the same agenda. We have to be able to work through our differences and challenges and realize that those challenges, those make us greater. Protests are not perfect. They are personal. Nobody knew what they were doing when we first started. This was, I would say a few months ago, I wasn't planning on being arrested for standing on the corner, minding my own business. But because, the powers that be, want to incite fear, it takes you to a place that you never thought that you would be. For me, I was one that positive, believe in things, but also we knew the truth that, just because this hasn't happened to me doesn't mean that it doesn't happen.
Right.
How do we get the young folks that say we don't need a leader, and we're saying us six here, we're willing to take up that mantle? How do we pull our foot soldiers on and say, this is your role? Where do we go? So violence for me is it's a tool that we have handy if needed. All I'm saying is buy bullets and have water and get ready.
Right.
So I want to make sure that I'm understanding the same. Brandon, can you say it again in content that you're trying to say?
So, I'm getting that.
Hold
The question was,
Whoa.
where do you all see violence falling in this path to liberation? And there's a reason I say that, because I'm a studier of history. And what I found through history is that no people in the history of Earth has ever gained their liberation based off the moral contents of their oppressor. Not a single group of people ever. They have always used two strategies: political and violence. It's as simple as that. And that history is on my side when I say that. And so if we are to gain our liberation, we cannot be monolithic and think that it's going to happen simply off a change in laws. And so I ask, where does violence fall in this strategy?
Okay, well, they was right then. All right. Ooh-wee. Well,
Listen.
casualty in war. It's
Listen.
casualty in war, buddy.
Listen,
That's how it feels.
I consider myself to be a man of faith and a man of prayer. I am very strategic. I do believe at this time, every African American that is able should have a gun at this point.
Wow.
It's at the point that we know hundreds of years, but in this present day, they are taking us out. It's a plan. It is strategic to take us out. Not just our leaders, but our little boys too, our little girls too, people who sleep in their house, and nothing is done about it. But I agree with Sister Nikki. Are y'all ready
You
for
ready?
that war? Because they have training camps down in Georgia. We knew that when Obama came about, where they were planning a race war, and they're literally doing drills and everything. These ain't army folk. These white people out in the Hicks
Yeah,
is
militia.
preparing for this war.
Oh yeah.
And we have to get our people to prepare for the war too. But our people, in the meanwhile, get a gun and is killing each other. So we got a lot to work on before we wage that war. But I do agree. A lot of days I try to be in my Dr. King, but every now and then that Malcolm rise up, boy. And I'm like, yo, you shoot me, I'm gonna shoot you back. Period. Flat out.
Let me ask you a question though. You said, when do we wage war? We have to be cautious when we wage war. I think the question is when do we retaliate? We've been at war,
Wow.
right? They have. I mean, we talk about Malcolm and Martin, but we forget there's been other black leaders who have been assassinated, right?
Yeah.
One of my favorite is Fred Hampton, killed in his bed in Chicago, sleeping next to his pregnant girlfriend. Let's not forget that. We got a whole bunch of Emmett Tills that has existed. The best way to control the people you want to control is you kill their future leaders and you kill their current, and that leaves them for decades lost. When I was little and I went to visit my brother in Dayton, Ohio on Triangle View, I had to be about between 8 and 10 years old. The police came into the community. It was only one way in, one way out. Cops rounded up all the kids, lined them up against the main brick wall, and took pictures of them and said, these are our future criminals and our future gang leaders.
Wow.
Don't you think that this country has not always had a plan in place to manage and control us? We are the very thing that builds their wealth. War is a tool to politics, or violence is the tool to politics. However you want to put that in there. We got to be a country. Black folks have to be a country. We have always had wars with each other. That's not new. And we need to stop that stupid ass narrative. Crime is crime, period. Black folks come from many different countries and many different tribes, and they've always warred. Same way white people have come from many different tribes and many different countries and have always warred. They just better at warring and killing people more than everybody else. They mastered that shit.
Yeah, right.
When Japan attacked us, what did they do? They shut their military off, said, you better not ever do it again. They hit them so hard that they make them think today what not to do or what to do. When Toussaint Louverture attacked, what did they do? They destroyed Haiti. And they rallied all their friends and their allies, even today, to continue to destroy Haiti. Man, we've been at war for a long time. Question is, do we continue to survive and exist in this war, or when do we retaliate, and how? We need generals.
Yeah.
Well, you can't go to war unless you got your money right.
Wow.
And, let me caveat off of that, man. So historians estimate that over 40% of all lynchings were the cause of, or the retaliation of, or the protection of the white woman, right? So that is one of the main reasons we were lynched, was because they believed that we did something to their white women. And so today, you even see today how they protect their white women. Like I said before, I'm a feminist. How do we cultivate the idea in our black men to protect black women, even to the point of giving your life?
Wow.
You know what? Okay, so here's my thought is, so as we were processing here, one of the treatment modalities that I work with uses a term called contamination. And a contamination, of course, is that belief that we have, about ourselves and about each other. And I'm telling you right now that, white men, for right, wrong, or indifferent, think a certain way, apparently, about who their woman is and what their role is with that woman, whether they know her or not. I question what our black men, some of our black men, think about who our women are and what their role is, you know, with respect to that woman. And so we have to begin to decontaminate and look at that. We have to begin and reprogram that. Because you know what? If I think this chick ain't nothing but a hoe, a bitch, a slut, or my mom ain't shit, so this bitch ain't shit, why would I protect her? Why would I protect her when she ain't there, you know, but to do what I need for her to do or to help me in my business, you know, or, you know, I'll protect mine, forget everybody else's. So, I mean, we've got a fracture going on in the relationships between Black men and Black women in the community anyway. I think we know that a lot of us have a lot of love for each other, but we've seen enough where enough of us don't. My daughter says that all the time. She says, you know what? She said, these Black boys at our school, there's a lot of colorism going on. She said, these Black boys at our school, she said, they dog us out. They'll dog us out whether we're dark girls or whether we don't have straight hair. She said, but the minute one of them is in trouble, we're all standing up for them. We'll defend them.
Yeah,
That's
They
true.
will not stand for us. She's 16 years old. And so we really have to, and so and maybe this is a charge to, you know, men and to women as well, but really, really begin to look at and help our young men and women, you know, really kind of decontaminate these thoughts and these beliefs that we have about each other. Because I'll defend something that I value.
absolutely.
I will defend something that I value, but if this person, even if this is a person that I don't know, is of no value to me, and I feel no connection to this person, whether I know them or not, I'm gonna let anything happen to them. Matter of fact, I ain't thinking about nobody but me. So that is a part of the work that we have to do within our community, is to really begin to heal those relationships. But that's a long story.
And I get, again, to Tia's point, those are not our ways originally, and I think some of us have bitten the poison apple fruit, and we're trying to be like them. That's their tactics, because white people will partner with you and then take you out at the same time. That's how they're savage like that. Right?
But
it's not our way.
Some
but
of
we're
us do
trying
it
to be
too.
like them. And so now you can see all of what I think it was Carter G. Woodson was talking about in the early 1900s when they talk about the miseducation of the Negro. We understand, we see it coming. These systems and stuff is designed to turn us against each other. We bought into it, and we're trying to be like them. And this is the result and the fruit that it has bared. So cut the fruit tree down. I mean, cut the tree down. You know what I'm saying? We don't want that fruit no more. We don't want that poison fruit. We don't want to eat of that no more.
Yeah, but you have that, and you also have the self-hatred. I don't know about your area, but here it's a lot of that. Like, you can see me excelling, but because I'm excelling, you think I'm about to get out the barrel, so you're gonna pull me down to be where you are. So I don't know about y'all areas, but that's what's going on here.
It's here everywhere.
I think again, that's just. I had a panel discussion last year. We called the Black Men's Brunch, and I invited 4 really influential brothers that a lot of people don't know, but move and shake the ground.
Wow.
And it was cool because in part of our discussion, one of the brothers who's extremely successful said, you know, we don't trust each other to work together. We won't do this. We won't do that. And so he was giving us this negative narrative about the Black experience in both power and entrepreneurship, right? And I had to, you know, and I corrected him, or I challenged him in the middle of the discussion. I said, brother, we've only met 2 times in the years that we've both lived in this space. I made 1 phone call to you and asked you to come sit on this panel to talk about the very thing we having a discussion about. We do work together, right? Okay. Because otherwise that wouldn't have occurred.
Right.
I called it, and that trickles down. The point I'm making is we got to change the narrative. We've got to tell the positive. We got to tell the story that we want to see. If we want to be in leadership, we got to tell that story. If we want to be the country, we got to tell that story. If we want to protect Black women, we want our Black men to protect our queens. We not only have to tell that story, but we got to show how it happens. I ain't letting shit happen to neither one of them. but I'm definitely not letting anything happen to any black woman that stand in front of me. Right? Black men, we got to understand what that looks like too. When we standing together, our strength. Because here's the reality. This world they're afraid of us. They've always been afraid of us. They're afraid of us because we have an ability that's so unique. They got to train to do the shit we do naturally. That's thinking and that's power. It's in our nature, right? But if they tell their narrative and we believe into it through their school books, through their college education, through their media, right? If we fall into that, yeah, we weak. But if we reverse it and do our own thing, right? We send our kid to get off to get a master's degree or a PhD. That's beautiful. Now we got to back that up with our side of that master's and with our side of that PhD. You know, we got to advertise that. So that's all I'm saying. Yo, we have to change our narrative every day. Challenge it. Yeah. Challenge the people in the room. As soon as they say we can't, say we can, and because we're showing it. Go, I'm sorry.
Hey, no, you're doing great. Listen, y'all. I very much enjoyed this panel. I have another commitment, but I want to give y'all my number right now. I don't want this to be the last time that we talk or the last time that we have these discussions. Great way to start. Actually, it's past starting. I think we are heading. We have some people here that aren't scared. Some people here that have faith. Some people here that's ready to tear it up. Some people here that's ready to go to war. I'm with you guys. My name is Tommy Owens. And I see all the other people calling me. My name is.
Put it in the chat, Tommy, because you on Facebook Live.
Yeah, put it in the chat, brother.
Yeah, hey, okay. Right
put
here.
it in the chat down, brother.
Is that right there? All right, let me do this.
Respond to the email from earlier and then send it out that way. Don't put
there you go.
I think it's been a wonderful conversation. And Mo, I think that you did an awesome job bringing us all together. It's so cool it's so cool to, especially for my Woo fam, to see all of us grow. I mean, we grown for real now, and to see everybody in just in their appropriate places that God really anointed and designed for them. So I appreciate it. I wanted to say thank you for that. And I'm down. What, once a month? What, we got a new topic? We bringing people on? What's happening? Let's do it.
Well, let's
and then we get mobilized and do some work, like Tia was saying before. Yeah.
Mobilize. Let's do it.
Let's plan it. I actually went like 20 minutes over, but y'all conversation was so engaging. I didn't want to like cut y'all off. So if you have like last words you want to tell people before I end the live, go for it.
My only thing, thank you again for allowing me to be here. The only thing that I want to take away to everybody on the panel and everybody listening, again, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. Please recharge, refresh, stay hydrated, rest while you can. You know, we know that something's going on. The change is here. The change is here. You'd have to pick your part, but I encourage everybody right now, rest, pause now. You know, and I'm serious because we've had to do that. Sometimes you got to step away while you can because there may be a day that you can't. So everybody stay encouraged. And again, thank you for having me here.
Thank y'all for coming.
Same thing. Find your part, play your part, and take your breaks because it's necessary.
I definitely agree with the pausing. I do think that our people are grieving. Every time another brother, another sister is killed, it's all over again. And so I think we're traumatized. I do believe that we need to pause. But I'm serious. Y'all register and get y'all some guns, okay? I'm not pushing it like that's the end all, that be all. But I do believe ain't nobody gonna protect us but us. And so I'm gonna leave you with that. Yeah.
All right.
Man, I just want to say, man, thank you, Mo, for bringing us together. Brothers and sisters, it's been an absolute honor to be here with you all today, man. I love y'all. It's good seeing y'all again. My, oh my, have we grown over these years that we've been away from Mother Wu. But hey, listen, I love y'all in the spirit of all the Black revolutionaries that came before us, man. Peace and blessings.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Y'all got my information?
off the live stream now. Stop.
I don't see it, but hey,